Here we go, yo. Let's do a story about the B again. And we're going to connect the B to the D. I'm going to give you your A, B, C's, and D's. And I'm going to connect it to school systems. The number 13, the mother. Let's see how we can do this here. I've told this story before based on the house. And so I'm going to try to tell it to you via electricity and energy within the house, and we're really focusing on the letter D and why I was explaining the connection to T, because D and T are this DT, it's the same letter. And how is it the same letter? How is it very, very similar in construct? It looks different, right? Let's start with the visualization of these two things, and then I'll walk you through the numbers, and I'll explain to you school system and grading within the school, and how that connects to a few other things. So, first off, the letter D comes out of a circle. If you look at a circle, visualize a circle, and then cut it in half. And what do you have? You have a D on one half and another backwards D in the other direction. So you have half of a circle. If we think of the two-dimensional plane and we look at a circle, we say that's everything. A circle contains everything. And there's some coding that you can figure out if you understand the alphabet actually starts with an O and then a Q, because the Q is the seed getting into the egg. And that's some further understanding, but for the terms here, for the understanding here, we're looking at the D, which is the fourth letter. And if you add up, and this is a little side note, so how you can just reprove these things mathematically and in so many different ways. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 is 10. And a 10 is an on and an off switch. It's a 1 and a 0. It's what gives you binary. Binary system is 1 and 0, which is 10. And if you take a circle and divide it in half with the 1, there's your D. There's exactly the symbol. If you know what the symbol is of phi and pi, phi and pi and phi, well, it's one of those two. So you can we'll get farther into why phi and pi are the same thing but different. One is a digital system and one is the organic system. So nature grows in one of those ways, and that's an easy one to figure out. You can play with that. So this letter D is actually a division of a circle in a two-dimensional realm. And a T is a crossing in what is 4 directions. A D is a crossing in 2 directions. So this is why a T is connected to the 4 elements: air, fire, earth, and water. Why it's connected to the directions: north, east, south, and west. And it's why it's a cross. So it is crossed something, and it's crossed something in what you'd call this physical realm. That's why you see graves with crosses, with T's. That's why X's are on a, this is what I did in the last one. But the connection to the D, to solve it, to show it to you, the connection to D is it's half of the circle, because a circle is on a flat plane. It's similar to an X in the sense of what a X is on a map and what a T is standing as a graveyard, as an upright thing like that. That's why Jesus wore the cross. That's why you wear a cross. Your body is the 3-dimensional cross that you wear. It's a crossing into the elements. But on a piece of paper, an X is what you're looking at. It's an X. For the pirates, and it's a signature where the X is. Put an X here. That's where it is. But it's a plotting locator on a 2-dimensional surface. And in the same way, the D takes a circle, and a circle is 2-dimensional. A sphere, or what would be in a 3-dimensional out here, that's a ball. It's not a circle. It's different. It's collapsed. If you took a ball, which is everything, and you smash it down onto a flat surface, you get a circle. So there's everything in the ball in 2-dimensional space. It's not the actual real thing. But you see the connection to the D, which is dividing everything in half, and a T, which divides things. One is doing it in 3 dimensions, and one is doing it in 2 dimensions on a surface. Now I'm gonna go a little farther here, and we're gonna go farther with the D in a second. But this connection to the B and the mother So if you know your ABCs and Ds, a B is a 13. Okay, the birthing mother. There's obviously a B looks like a D, right? Look at it. It's got it's got the flat line behind it with the bulge in front of it, but it looks like a bulge in the bottom and a bulge in the top. It's like two D's. Like if that top fell over, it would give you a complete thing. It put a D, which is a birthing channel beneath, with another being in it, and then breasts and milk on the top. Now, if that top fell over, you'd make a circle. There would be the completion. So there's an interesting connection to that because they're both facing in the same direction. So the D is the digital format. It's die, to split. So something is split with a D. When you go to, let me before I do any more on the D, the 13 is the letter B. You put a 1 and a 3 together, that shows you what it is. That spine plus the 3. It's 13. So why is the number 13 so like, oh, it's so occulted? There's no 13th floor in a building. You take an elevator to get away, to go up, but it passes the 13th floor. There is none. They don't put it on the thing because it's 13. Because 13 is connected to the 12 months. Okay, what do you have? You have 12 months based on the sun, and 13 based on what you'd call the moon, or the surrogate mother. They have a 13, which is connected to the bee and the mother. So it's the 12 months around the one thing, which is connected to the sun and the birth. The birthing sun. The sun gives birth to something. Because the sun is the equivalent of the mother. You have to look at it that way. Like the earth is no different than the sun, and the sun is no different than the earth. They're both providing an energetic construct to create what reality is. So either way you look at it, it's a birthing mechanism. So that birthing mechanism, and this is why when you look through the ages, you find men wearing wigs, dressed as kind of feminine, wearing makeup, and you get back into the old days of like acting. There was no women. There was always men dressed up as women. It was the patriarchy that was usurping the power and energy from the woman and the whole identity of the woman, because it was the containment for what life was. Just like the earth is the containment for what life is. They forgot about what the sun was as an electrical charge system, which is what they were, but they didn't understand how that worked. It seems they didn't. Maybe they do. Maybe they do now. And maybe some of the more enlightened folk understood or understood because they were charged with that. They had energy because of those two systems. Well, the one system that was built out of the two. So isn't it interesting when we look at the B, the D, and the T, when you go to school, if you were to get a D in a class, you might be passing and you might not be, because you'd get a 65. Remember, 65 was, if it was below 65, you did not pass. But if it was above 65, you did. But it was a D because it split. It split the circle. It split the infinite everything in half. Even in school, it's encoded with what the D stands for. 65, it's right there. I don't know. Is it pass or is it 64, 66? We can get into why 66 is passing. Anybody can figure that one out. Everybody knows about what the 6s mean, the 6s and the 9s, and those are flipped over male and female energies. So let's go a little farther with this. When we look at the D again, let me reinforce and explain further why the D is and its symbolism and how you can prove it again and again to yourself, the meaning and the value of what the D is. If you're in your house, your home, most houses have basements. It's the base mind. And in the basement, what you'll find is a panel. It's called Pan L. A pan is the dual goat god. Pan is to go back and forth. Pan is what you cook something in a pan. I did a whole thing on pan and understanding what a pan is as a division line for something. It's what keeps heat beneath and the food cooking on top. It's a needed barrier for food, because if you just threw the food in the fire, you wouldn't have any food, now would you? So this Pan, which has to do with the Pa, and this Pan's Labyrinth, and Pan the goat god, and Peter Pan, and all of these are connected to the electricity and the electrical system in your house. It's even told you, it's even explained to you this way. I don't know how many people have put this story out here, but I did a couple times. If you look into your basement, the base mind, and you look at the electrical pan L, it's L because L is the Elohim, L is the electricity, L is the angle, the 90-degree angle, and we'll get into L's in a second. I'm going to turn this into an L, how you can understand L's as well. And that panel has breakers on it, and those breakers are what allows the ground and the electricity. So you have in your alternating current system, you have the element of electricity and magnetism, and what we'll call the ground is magnetism because it's magnetizing something into the earth, like the earth is the mother, the magician, the magnet, and the sun is the electricity. So that's how it works. So that system, which is a loop, which comes back to itself, it's only two things, male and female. It's the red and the black wire. It grounds it into that, and that breaker there is the dividing source, the dividing line to turn the energy on. And that breaker is called a square D. If you look, you could look it up right now. Most breakers are called square D. Why? Well, if you take a circle and look into masonry, look at Da Vinci's work. You can look at the Vitruvian Man. It's a square and a circle. A square and a circle is an identifier for everything. You square the circle and circle the square and square the circle and it becomes the flower of life. It's how everything is done. It's boxing ring. It's a ring and box, back and forth and back and forth. It builds. It creates. You take the corners and then you put a circle around it and you cut the corners, and then you put the square around it and you cut the corners. And this gives you angles and angels, and it turns what is a rock, what a diamond is, and then you start to cut it and you shape it, and that diamond eventually becomes a crystal ball, and that crystal ball has to do with a crystal skull. Now that goes a little deeper and deeper into it, but again, this panel that's in the basement. Now what happens? All of that energy goes through what kind of wires? Because it's square D again. Because what has happened? Let me just finish that up. If you square a D, you've squared half of a circle. They gave you half of the energy. They took a circle, cut it in half, and gave you D. They didn't give you a circle. They gave you a square. They put a square around half of the circle. They gave you electricity. They didn't tell you anything about magnetism. The magnetism is the other half of the D. So they gave you an electrical unit, not a magnetic unit. So electricity, half of the circle, put it in a box. There it is in the base mind. And then they put the energy through the house, through the walls. The walls. Flip that around, you get laws. So there's barriers, boundaries, right? But in the walls of the house, and this is where you get the word wallet. Okay? A wall-et. If you take the word cigar and you look at the cigarette, it means a smaller feminized version. So a wallet is a small wall. A wall for what? For currency, for your money, for energy. In your wallet is currency. In the wall of your house is currency. And that currency is given to you through what? Through a wire. And that wire that came from the panel is made of copper. What did money used to be made of? You'd find all sorts of coins made of copper. Well, they were made of silver as well and gold as well. You could have silver and gold in your walls, but that would be too expensive, and it's actually more conductive of a material to use copper. So those copper coins are energetic devices, and it's just like in your wall. So in your wallet you'd have coins made of copper, silver, and gold, and in your wall you have your copper wires with a sheath around it made of rubber, so it doesn't go everywhere. That's the rubber holds the energy in there. And it goes up your wall into the outlet, and there you have your electricity, which gives you your lamp and your light. But it's behind the wall. There's a barrier for that electricity inside of that copper wire. And so there's a story of electricity, the square D panel, and why electricity is connected to D, and D being half of the circle, the complete energetic unit, which is magnet and electricity, and how that D is a 10. That 10 is 1 and 0, which is binary. You cut that in half. You can even see it when you turn your computer on. There's a little button there. It's an on and off switch. Sol Om on. On is when you turn something on. It has to do with the sun. So there you have 13, the B, the D, this a little bit of the story of the house. I'm not going to get into all. I'll do another story furthering the house and give you the walls and the corners and the L's. I hit the L's a little bit. Okay, the walls are L's. Laws are L's. Angles. Corners are where you put the body, the dead body, in the corner. Because corner traps light. Look in your house. You can look around when there's like, if you look into the corner of your house, it's collecting all of the light and making it dark. There's a shadow in the corner. Pulls dark. It's like darkness that pulls shadow there, shade. So the corner is an angle or an angel of pulling energy into a system. That's why you look into cubes and boxes and what those things are doing, as basically capturing light energy. And that's why your house has walls and corners in it. I'm not going to go too far on the L thing now. That one you can just play with yourself. I've done so much on what L means, and you can just look at it and what it is. It's the most basic angle you can use. This is where you get language, Anglish, angle, angel. Any popular biblical name ends in L. Michael, Raphael, Daniel. I mean, it's always an L. Elohim. If you're building a house, you use that L-shaped thing all the time. So what else did I want to cover here? A, B, C's, and D's. Why is A come before B? Well, the triangle got put before the B, the birthing mother. So the three angles of what became a household, what became the triune God of the mother, father, and child, that got put before the mother. The mother was the B, which is a 1, and those two circular angles, well, circular, that's that form of energy. Energy is contained in the entire real universe in balls, and this is where you get balls, like literally in your balls is a man, in the bowels, that's your stomach, in bowel, the inferno, the flames. It's just a story. These Archons are just stories in the mind that are actually literally in the body physically, and that you can work with. And so that B was there, and then all of a sudden the mind of man said, no, we can architect this better, and they started just putting angles everywhere. So A became, there's no circle, there's no softness in an A. In fact, is a vowel. So it really doesn't exist. So now we're back to the B being the beginning. In the beginning. Why would they didn't say in the A something. They didn't they didn't do that. They said in the beginning. The beginning, it starts with B. In the birth, in the bosom, in the breast, so get rid of the A and there's your B, C's, and D's. I mean, women always got nice B cups, C cups, and D cups, don't they? A cup ain't even really a breast, is it? I mean, hey, now I got love for the small breasticle club too, but it's even in that we see that's the even bra sizes. That's the what's a bra? There it is again, B. So this alphabet, the alphabet soup, we can look at as an encoding mechanism in everything, the A, B, C's, and D's, and how that connects to the numbers. And remember, get rid of the vowels, and we see B, C's, and D's, and yeah, maybe it shut off there because that was the end of it. Oh, windows. Here you go. Here, just because I'm looking at this house here, here's a couple other ways you can just look at things. It's called the window. Well, why? Because the wind is coming in. O, like there's the circle. They're cut out. Something is an O. Open up your window, so wind can come in. So there's just because I was looking at it. Oh, a door. There's the D word again. And R is movement, so you move through the D. You move through the half. Okay. If you enter a house, you go through a door. You go through an entrance. To be entranced, you go through a door. A door divides what is out there everywhere in all of nature and puts you inside a smaller temple that is a reflective thing of what's going on in nature. Your house is reflective of nature, but you go through what is it called a door. So you move the R through the D, which is half of the system. Half of the system is here in your house. There's nothing wrong with having a house. There's nothing wrong with having walls and corners. So don't take these things that I'm saying in the wrong way. And I'm just saying, this is just one more system. Like, hey, it's nice to be inside out of the sun sometimes, working on what is a flat tablet with 4 corners, looking at a television, as long as you know what the shows are, as long as you know what the windows, even though they might be square, even though the screen might be square, you're getting the information. It might not be in the most expansive 3-dimensional way, but you can extract from it what you need. So you walk in through that door, D-O-O-R, and the O's don't really count, so it's a D-R. It's just like a doctor, right? Nothing wrong with a doctor just because they've been used wrong, because they're doing things because they don't know exactly how the entire temple body works and they don't know what they're working on. It still doesn't take away from what DRs and RNs are, doctors and nurses, registered nurses and narcissists, and as I did that earlier, again, this is just reframing and understanding what the terms and the names are, where they came from, and what their actual uses are. And let's see, what else did I cover here? We got the A, B, C's, and D's. The D connected to the D's, the D and the T. I covered that. The A is always the triangle and the angles of. We'll get into that a little further. So I think I've given you the B's. The C is right there. It's the C. It's a salty C. It's a cup. It's a chalice. Covered the D pretty much. E is I'll give you E right now. E is the 5th letter. What is the 5th? It's I plead the 5th. It's silence. Why is silence? It's the 5th. Okay? A, B, C, D, E. If you put E on the end of a word, it's silent. Make, bake. You don't say E. I mean, E can be. This is why vowels, you can make them strong. Vowels can be strong. E, Gregor, E, like you can, there are words that start with that sound. A, action. But you put the A in there as a vowel and it kind of just blends in and goes away. You can take any of those vowels and do that. What else about E, F? F. Okay, we'll get into that another time. Let's just highlight a few letters here. I think you can kind of play with. G is an interesting letter for all of the reasons of the Freemasonry, what you'd call the way it looks and the extra angle in it. It's a circle and there's it's a weird little angle there. What's that about? They put an angle right there. Yeah, that's interesting. It's a 7th letter too. H. It's a very strong. It's the 8th letter. 8H. House. It's built like an H. A house is built like an H. It's strong. Look, it's sturdy. It's not going anywhere. You can see it. It's a box. I is the 9th. And I mean, everything about the I says, hey, I, me. There I am. Why is it the 9th? Why is it the 9th letter? It's the completion. Once you say I, you say I am this, I am that, I am. Your I sees. Because you completed the whole thing. You went all the way up to the letter 9, and now you're done. I. See? It's even connected to the numbers. And then what do you get next? What's the 10th one? J. J becomes that's a hook. It's Jesus. It's the fish. You go fishing with a J. It's the 10th. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. The 10th, right? Back to that 1 and the 0. Back into the dual system. The duality of the 1 and 0 becomes the J, and this is the division between the 1 and the 0, which is 2 densities, is why someone is above the water putting a hook down to catch a fish. The fishing for something in a lower density. Now, this is not saying people are doing this for a bad reason. Some people are catching fish to actually, well, when we say a school of fish, if you go to school, if you're in the invisible school system, the invisible college, and nobody, hey, you're not in the building, you're a fish down there in a school, and somebody pulls you out of the water, in the real story, yeah, the story of evolution is the fish then came on the land and started to breathe. That's the story of what the shaman did to pull the fish out of the water. And the fish at first was like, oh, I can't breathe. And he's like, yes, you can. And the fish was like, oh, I can breathe. Look at that. I mean, because that didn't really happen, but that's the story. Bring the people out of the water. Get out of that school system. The school was there just to keep you safe. And now pull them out of the water. And now you're on the land. Ooh, and you can breathe. And then there's another part to the story, to, the next level to that. So we got to the J. And then what happens after that? K. What is a K? K is actually a barrier and then a 90-degree angle that's turned on its side as a reflection point. It's a reflective surface. It's standing up and it reflects light off at a perfect angle, a perfect 90-degree angle. And this is why the letter K is used in a very interesting way. You hardly ever, if you say knife, the K is in front of it. You don't say K. K is a really weird one, right? It's reflective. It's only allowing certain things through it. Most of the time it's reflecting. So it says knife. Put K in front of an N, and it's all of those words. Knuckle, K-N-U. Why did they put the K there? Why isn't it just N-U-C-K-L-E or N-U-C-L-E or N-U-K-L-E or whatever? Why put the K there? Well, it's part of the construct of the language, and it shows you in what the K is. And then we're back to L. What is L? Where are we at? And what letter is K? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. K is 11th. 11th. So why is it reflective? Because a 1 reflects a 1. 11th letter becomes 2, duality. It shows reflection. It shows you in the letter. And then the 12th, after K, J, K, L. Wow, what a powerful letter that is. The 12th letter. The 12. The 12 of everything. That's why it's an angle. That's why it's an angel. That's why there's 12 months in the year. There's 12 hours in a day. There's 12 of everything. Everywhere you look. 12 is that enigma. Because 12 is 1 plus 2, which is 3, which is the triangle. So 12 is connected to the A. It's 3 angles. So that 12 is everywhere you look. The 12th letter. It is, you can see it. There's the angle. There's the angels. And there's 4 angels, right? The 4 angles, the 4 corners. They say the 4 corners of the world, the 4 corners of whatever it might be. Things are built in that way. It's just there's none of this is good, bad. It's all indifferent. It's just how things are built. And if you know how it's built, then here you go. Here it is. And then we're back to 13. JKLM? Whoa, that's a big one. So what is it about 13? 13, back to M. M is mom, mother, mountains, matriarchy. Ah, look at that. Put that 3 on its side. You have an M. There it is. The mountains, the M, which is the number 13. So what is the connection to that? The power of the mountains, the power of the woman, the power of the birth, the power of everything of magic, majesty, matriarchy, magnetism that nobody knows about. 13 is hidden because magnetism is hidden, because the mother's hidden, because of magic and magnets and all of that, and magnesium. And this goes back into, I'm just spinning this for you. This gets why magnesium is hidden. Everybody takes iron. Iron. You have to pay a fee to get on the ride. It's a fee. Go look up what iron is. It's Fe. Go look up what magnesium is. Mg, magic. Magnesium and potassium. Fe is iron. So your blood should be filled with chlorophyll, which has magnesium as the center around which the whole thing spins. And so it's a living system. Grass, which has sucked up water and sunlight, becomes memory, which is what the cow eats. That's where you get the cow milk from. But if we just start looking at the grass and the plants, what you're going to see is it's a magnesium center to that atom, to the structure. And it creates its blood, its chlorophyll, its green blood, which is magnetic. And when I say magnetic, I'm saying it in the larger function of the universe. Not saying you can take a magnet up to it. Maybe you could if you got a powerful enough one or the right, maybe. I don't know. but magnesium for sure. This is what most people are lacking in their bodies, magnesium. They have plenty of iron, but that hasn't been working out, has it? That's why your blood is red and rusting. So back to magnesium. There's the number 13. There's the mother. There's the magnesium. It's right in there. M, 13. Okay, what's the 14th letter? N. Okay. Well, that one's going to be a hard one to figure out, but what I can do, what I can show you, and I'll just stop here after I give this to you. And that way I've given you the first half of the alphabet. Now, this is huge for anybody that can really follow this. I really believe people will be able to follow this. This is, I think, really well put together, if I don't say so myself. 13. You have 13 in your one hand. So if you complete, this is the left and the right-handed path. That's why everybody's got to take the right-handed path. The left-handed path is evil. The black path is evil. The white path is good. This is not true. You're talking about masculine and feminine energies, and anybody that's just like, there's only one way to go. They don't know what they're talking about. They haven't unified the system. Even if they claim they have, even if they're talking all about this spina bifida, I'm being funny, even if they're talking about the kundalini, all this, it's a unification of the energies, the left hand and the right hand path. This is like looking at Baphomet. There was nothing evil about Baphomet. He was pointing in two directions. Pick one. Pick them both. There's a sword in one and there's this in the other. Look down here, there's the earth. Look up there, there's the sky. This is some crazy thing. Whoa, that's a crazy creature. It has to do with Pan. What's Pan? Left and right. Oh my goodness. Oh. And that's what people do. But in fact, it's just an image showing you something. But if you look beyond being, it's crazy and fearful, and going, the right-hand path and the left-hand path are both unified. In this, I'm showing it to you. 13 and 14. 13, you have your 12 as your fingers. You have your 4 fingers. There's your 4 elements. There's the 4 of everything. I did the thing on the force a long time ago. Look up my video on the 4s and the force. And you have, on each finger, you have 3 phalanges, which gives you 12. And you have your thumb. There's your 13. There's one hand. There's the left hand. Or the right hand. Pick it, whatever. You can flip it over and do it the other way if you want. You can play with any way you like. And then you have 13 in the other. And in the middle, what you have, after you have an L, count them out. You have A, B, C. There's your pinky. D, E, F. G, H, I. J, K, L. Now, when you get to L, what you'll see is you're at the bottom knuckle of your pointer finger, and that goes down into your thumb. There's your L. Look at that. Weird. That is the 12th letter. And then when you put your hands up as a webbing and you make a W with your thumbs, you take your thumbs, you stick them together, and then you make a W, what you'll see is there's the woman. There it is. If you flip it over, you get an M. So you can do this either way. It's an M or a W. So you can flip it around, and you can do, if your hands are, so you can see the back of your hands, you have a W. This is why man and woman, masculine and woman, man and woman, it's the same thing. So you put your hands upside down, you have your M, and you have your W, and how do you spell that? M-A-N. M-A-N. So there's your 13th letter, and your 14th letter, which is man. This is why in the palm of your hands is man. Man creates the world with the palm of your hand. Like, you look in your hands, there's man, there's God, there's L, there's the world. It's all there in the palm of in your hands, and you can show it. So there's 13 and 14, and oddly enough, mathematically, anybody know that number? Should I pull it up? 1314. Yeah, let me just pull it up for you, because this will be more fun this way. Hold on one second, guys. Pause. And this is pi in the middle. So in the middle of your hands, what you have is 13th and 14th letter, which is 1. 1 pi equals 3.14. 1.5. We could keep going with that, see? 13, 14. So how is that? 1 equals 3.14. So you have 13.14. It's just an interesting way it happens, right? And what does it do? It divides the pi. So how do you do that? Back to C's and D's. It's the circumference to its diameter. C divides the D. The C divides the D. The sea of the ocean divides half of the sun. because the sun's half is on top and half of it shines through. There's so many ways to play this, and this is why pi backwards, actually 3.14 backwards actually says pi. Weird. These are not just little. The thing was designed so hyper intelligently that this is why I can explain this. Or my brain is just super fantastic and crazy and not like anybody else's, and I'm just making these wild assumptions of making connections where they don't actually exist. Although I really doubt that. So this is why man's hand makes you make pie. Cut the pie in half. Here, have a piece of it. This is why your hands take the sword, the knife, and cut up the pie. And this is why what language does is what your tongue does. You're cutting up the language and cutting up the pie, cutting up all of reality into little bits and pieces and slices so people can enjoy a piece of the pie. And there's the first half of the alphabet and why man sits in the middle. The divider of pie, divider of reality. It's fun though, huh? So I think that about covered everything I wanted. Hope you guys enjoyed that journey. And yeah, do cool things. Make up some new words, say fun stuff, have a good time. Be nice to people. Be nice to yourself if you can't be nice to others. Yeah, stay well. Talk soon, y'all.